Welcome to Laid Back Law with your favorite lawyers from around the interwebs, discussing the most pressing of topics every Friday at noon Eastern Time.
All right, you thought you could keep us away. The internet wants to keep us away. Everything in the world conspires to keep us away, but no, we're still here. We're still coming back. The remnants, the fragments of LawTube is here. But we're not supposed to say LawTube because some people are offended by LawTube. But you know what? We will say LawTube. Why? Because we're rebels and rebellious wannabe LawTubers are here. Except for me, I'm not a lawyer, so I can say anything I want and can't really get in too much trouble. Do not take my advice of any kind. You might be able to listen to these guys and they can point you a direction, but don't take their advice either. Mm-hmm. We're not technically a legal advice channel. We are a goof off channel who are going to talk about the latest stories. And what better way to start with Sean, potentially criminal? It's been a while since I've seen you, man.
Yeah, it's been great. It's good to see you. Yeah, too long.
Definitely. And of course, Nate, the lawyer, who is here to help fill up the comments with love for his opinions.
Oh, yeah. These people, they know they love my left-wing radical Pisco-like fight.
Tommy Nate.
That's right. And it's funny when I go over to Pisco's channel, it's that Nate, that stupid MAGA lawyer. So I like to play both sides. I mean,
wait a minute. It's Pisco.
Pisco.
Yes.
It's Pisco, man.
Yes, it's a drink.
It's Pisco. Well, he's making waves for himself. He's like appearing as a regular, I guess, on Tim Pool as the regular debate partner for everybody. Funny to see him and Alex Stein on stage together.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. There was one thing. I was arguing with a friend, a left-wing friend, about, because most of everybody knows I was like really heavy with the Democrats. Then I kind of moved kind of to center. Then I was like a little bit more conservative, and now I'm back to the center. So they were like, "Hey, why all you Democrats, you lifelong Democrats, why'd you guys kind of move toward Trump or to the center?" And I'm like, because I couldn't disagree with any of them. Like, say when I said I don't believe grown men should be playing in women's sports, I became a transphobe. When I said I don't believe all cops are blank toward black people, I became, I hated black. It was like everything. And literally people were calling me racist because I didn't, like, if it was like I had to take all the BS or I couldn't be a part of the group. So I was like, I'm just not a part of the group. And then it's just common sense, right? Like a lot of the stuff Trump was saying was just common sense. So it's like when you put that to them and you're like, and most of my liberal friends don't even agree with most of the stuff the Democrats put out. But they stated because they hate Trump so much. So it's kind of like, why vote against this person versus why vote for these people? Does that make sense?
Well, you mean like
man is so bad.
Yeah,
like the Chicago mayor that won't take any help from the federal government at all because that's the Trump administration. It's like you're down 2,000 cops, and it's like, hey, what about we give you some National Guard people to help fill up? Oh, hell no.
yeah, we don't want. And 5,000 cops won't help. Stop crime won't help. Matter of fact, he says it won't even help. Even though they're down 2,000, you give him 5,000 more cops. And again, they didn't say National Guard troops. Joe asked him specifically, if I were to give you, just give you the money and you hire your own cops, would that help? He said no. He couldn't admit to that. So that just shows you that type of ideology that just is going haywire. And
you know what I would have loved?
That crime also.
I'm sorry. You know what I've loved is what if somebody asked him, hey, Gavin Newsom is offering you 500 police officers for temporary assignment. Would you like them?
he would take it in a heartbeat.
I know. That's the hypocrisy.
Since we're talking about the crime stuff, should we open? What are we starting with?
Well, let's start with our illustrious fighter here, Raja Jackson.
Ooh.
Now, interesting things have emerged on this. Nate told me offline more details. I mean, if you watch the video, which I cannot share because this is YouTube and this will not only be demonetized, it'll be made adults only and then probably be struck afterward.
Well, I'm going to say it. I got to say it. YouTube shocked me. I put the whole unedited version because I put it up on my channel first, just unlisted, just so nobody just, and then I link people to it. Like, hey, watch my video breaking it down, and you can see the whole 2-hour thing yourself. They demonetized, like everything you said, demonetized, age restricted. now that same video, like 2 hours later, is monetized with the full fight scene. So I don't know if it's all demonetized, but it's up there now. So
Okay, well, I will not be doing that. Because
So,
I have
Nate,
experience.
you
and
got his kick. You got the whole kick stream.
yeah,
Okay.
have
I
the
just
entire
have
stream.
I just have like the 30-second clips of like the fight and everything. But
go to my last video on that topic, and you'll see it in the description. You click that because what I was doing when I was doing my video, I wanted the transcript so I could search through the video for when he was saying certain things.
Yeah.
So there was so I uploaded it just to get the transcript. But then I was like, hey, this would be nice for my my fans if they want to see it. But then after I uploaded it, then went green. I was like, oh shit, I could just let this thing go live.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I mean, good for you. But you see, Nate is a powerful YouTuber that makes them a lot of money.
yes.
So that always factors in as well. But either way, I can't show that, or I won't show that, because I've been burned way too many times, including on the kind of defunct Nate and Eric channel. The only strike we ever got was a video with a bus driver that punched the passenger. And even when I appealed it and showed, I think it was 8 other copies of it on YouTube, all live, all played out, they were like, yeah, tough shit. So
even on the Young Turks.
Oh yeah, that was the first one I showed.
Unedited.
Yeah,
but so I'm hoping everybody understands the story. Raja Jackson, who is Rampage Jackson's father, I'm sorry, son. Rampage Jackson's son, said father. He goes to this wrestling event. Now, obviously, we all know wrestling is kayfabe. For those of you who know internet jargon, it's fake. So he goes and he's hit with a beer can by one of the wrestlers who thinks that he's a part of the show. Now, you'll see in the comment section, everybody's going to be saying the beer can was fake. Beer can was fake. The beer can was not fake. It was 1,000,000% real.
Well, it's not hit. Like he took the beer can and right on his head.
Yeah.
Okay, to be fair, from what I understand, it is a real beer can, but it's a fake incident. And what I mean is that he didn't go and take the can and smash it on the head like Sean just described. He crushed it in his hand
a little bit
while he was doing like a fake hit, or like a tap, to make it look like he smashed it and it blew open on the guy's head. He is a pretty strong dude. He just crushed it while he did it, and it gives the illusion that he smashed the can on the head. So it's kind of in the middle of that. It's a fake incident. It's not a fake can. It's not that, but it wasn't a real smashing of a can on the head.
I think that's fair, but I think at the end of the day, it's like a lot of things in wrestling. Yes, they aren't really hurt, like hitting each other, but they're doing a lot of things that really hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you wouldn't ow is probably like most people's reaction to getting that can, smacking him in the head with a can, obviously crumpling it up, but you're still getting hit with a can. I'm like, it's not going to.
Nobody wants this to happen per se. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying let's get the level there, because all this nuance is really important into the story. You're going with these professional wrestlers. I always thought that was an ironic term, calling them professional wrestlers when they're the fake sport versus the amateur wrestlers that go to the Olympics. So somebody help me with that. But anyway, that is important, because you have these people thinking, oh, he's here for a narrative. We're going to start a beef or whatever the hell it is. Let's start a storyline, because everything in professional wrestling is a storyline. Right, Nate? I don't know. I don't watch
it. You're right. And but I think there's so many things here in this story that I think a lot of people just don't realize what happened is that so after the beer can, just to go after the beer can incident, which we all saw, they all shook hands, everything is okay, right? We all say shook hands, everything's okay,
including him.
Yeah, they all shook hands.
Yeah.
But when Raja goes to the back, his friend, who's supposed to be a wrestler, he's there to see, and the promoter says, hey, we want you to jump and go into this guy's ring, and you should give him a receipt. Now, a receipt in wrestling is what it sounds like. Somebody hit you for real by accident, or they could, if they hurt you, then you can get one shot back at them to essentially a receipt for them hurting you. So if somebody punches you for real, you punch them back for real, and that's the receipt. So they told him to give them a receipt. And they even asked him, you know what the receipt is? So they said, yeah, you hit him for real, and blah, 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 blah. For some reason, he took that to another level. He just obviously saw what happened. So now the argument is that why would you tell an MMA fighter to and not clearly establish what the receipt is or what the level you can do? And the argument is, well, why would you tell him to go in? He's not trained. He's not this. He's not that. He's doing what you told. That type of thing. So they're arguing like a mitigating circumstance. Like even though he was doing this, it's not really attempted murder because what was fake and what was real and how did it play out. So I think the kid is finished.
So question for you. I'm going to still stand and say, okay, maybe you'll fall down from attempted murder to a grievous assault, but let's just say it was really an MMA match. Let's say it was a UFC match, right? An actual UFC match.
Yeah.
Is that acceptable behavior? I don't follow it, folks,
Yes.
but is that acceptable behavior for a person who is obviously out to just keep pommeling and pommeling and pommeling? The person is down and they're out. Now, I know in boxing, if a person's knocked out, it's like, hey, you're not down there, pommeling or whatever. So I think it's a very important factor. Is it allowable for a person who is obviously down on the ground to hit him, not once because he's already in a move? I understand that, but to keep going and going and
the
going.
referee stops the fight.
Yeah, the
But you got to get to him.
It doesn't matter. You go like in
MMA
in the UFC. You go if the ref doesn't intervene, you're still hammering away on people because you go till the ref stops.
The ref's got to stop you.
And this is different though because it's one thing. Oh, I'm giving him a receipt, but it's now okay. Fine, you're punching him, and maybe he was aware of getting a punch, but at some point in between when it became punch 30 and punch 1, obviously it went too far. So at some point the line should have been drawn. It's kind of like a hockey game. Yes, in hockey, you might agree to a fist fight. You're not agreeing to a guy stabbing you with a broken hockey stick. Like there are limits to the injuries you're willing to and consenting to. So this wrestler guy may have been consenting to like a punch. Yeah, but there's no way he consented to just getting,
pummeled.
Treated
well,
like
he isn't consenting to it because it's a different sport, even.
Yeah.
So you have two different sports.
He could have consented to but they could have told him, hey, he's actually going to punch you. We're going to make some money off this and we're going to get some views. And he could have been like, okay, cool. I'll consent to a punch.
Well, I don't even think you need to consent because it's kind of like what is a common practice in this particular sport? Receipts are part of that common practice, right?
Yeah,
you hitting somebody back. So I'm assuming if a wrestler's not going to complain about getting punched for real in a receipt type, but getting pummeled, I think is the extra part of it. So I don't think he needs to give consent because it's a part of the game. But obviously, when you get to punch 20, your consent is going out the way. I didn't consent to this.
I don't think anybody did, and that's why I really wanted to bring up the UFC. And if that is considered allowable, like if the rep falls down or he's slow or whatever, and let's say somebody perishes, I mean, and if that's acceptable in the sport needs to be disbanded.
Well, ridiculous. That's why the ref is the most important party in the ring. It's happened with boxing, like if you don't stop fighting, because those are death sports, you can die. So you don't stop fighting until the ref stops the fight. That's why they tell you keep punching.
In the UFC, there have been refs who have been fired because they don't stop the fight right away, or they're screwing around, or there's some refs in the UFC who are notorious for letting guys get their ass kicked and they shouldn't do it. Like there's a lot out there for that. But yes, the ref is in charge of protecting people. Yeah. And obviously did this wrestling ref realize that was going to happen? No. I'm sure he's like, oh my God, what the hell's happening? Because clearly it was way too much.
He's probably not, trained for UFC.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's like, what the hell is happening here?
Well, and not only that, when let's take it even further. Even when he's pulled off, you're pulled off of this guy. By all rules and all sports, right? You're done. No, he's attacking every single person who was pulling him off. Did you watch the rest of the footage? He's sitting there attacking another guy pulling him off. He's attacking the ref. This is so far beyond. So, even if you're going to give him some allowance on the guy on the ground because of questions, well, what about the other people who pulled him off, trying to restrain him? That's an assault. That's an assault. That's an assault. Those are all assaults, in my opinion. So I think that, I wouldn't say attempted murder simply because of the confusion factor, but I think that you definitely have an assault and battery situation.
Oh gosh, aggravated.
Oh yeah, I agree.
aggravated.
Felony
Yeah,
assault.
Aggravated for sure. That's a good point, Ron. Aggravated for sure, because he is a licensed trained fighter, so they essentially treat those assaults essentially like you're assaulting a person with a gun because you have that training. So
Okay. I mean, so we all agree that, but it appears that maybe nothing's going to happen. I think there's been no arrests.
why hasn't
no
he been
anything.
arrested? This is like the easiest arrest to make in the world. Like, why hasn't he been arrested? I just don't understand that. It absolutely makes no sense. It's as a simple assault you can arrest this guy, right? You don't really need anything else. You have at least a simple assault there, but he still hasn't even been arrested. There's something up that just doesn't make any sense. He should have been arrested that on the scene.
Where did this happen? Vegas,
California,
which city?
LA County.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
LA, yeah, crime
Oh,
isn't.
really though?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I thought that was property crimes they were okay with, Ron. I didn't know they were okay with the.
Beating a man half to death.
Well, you know what? That is an interesting question. What if the racial profiles were reversed, Nate?
I think in this
you're a
situation,
Negro. What's your
no,
answer?
I'll say it. I think it would still be the same. I think people would still be horrified in the same way. I don't think this has.
Would there
anything
be
to
an
do with race.
arrest? Is my question.
I think if the races were switched and you have the same type of thing, I don't think so. I think this would still be playing out the same way, because I think this is more fame and fortune. Like his father is famous, he's famous, versus race. But there could be a race component to it. But I just wouldn't assume race.
Entertainment gets a huge path in Hollywood, and that LA is Hollywood.
Okay.
Like I think it's more because of his fame than anything. I just think it's race.
But I'm sure that there are meetings scheduled for Tuesday. There are meetings scheduled for Tuesday. A decision has to be made. People
they've had all week.
Decision makers. It's a policy thing. It's a
This happened like 5 days ago. The meeting should have happened.
I agree with Ron. I would rather them take their time. He's not like you have a statute of limitations. You're well within it. There's no emergency.
Yeah.
This isn't a murder.
Is the guy going somewhere?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is 5 days for a simple assault you got on camera. Like what? I don't.
I mean,
you can arrest him and release him.
You're still a market heart, Nate.
Nate, think about this. We've had a streamer talk about having schmography on his computer and talking about it, and he hasn't been raided, and it's been over a week, and there's no warrants or nothing. So, I'm just saying, things take time.
That's a little different though, because even if I say I have it, I don't know. It's like somebody coming to the police precinct and saying I murdered somebody. You can't just arrest them. I'm just saying you need more than that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying there's time. There's time to make sure you're doing it right. Maybe they're going out. I mean, it's LA, so they're out talking to various fighters and people hey, if is this correct? Can we consult on this? Is everything working? Do you agree with this? I mean, I'm sure that they're probably putting stuff together. Or they also might say, look, I got murders and real problems to worry about. This is not priority.
This is almost an attempt. The guy was hospitalized on a serious assault.
And how do you know that he's not an imminent threat? Because he attacked the other people. And if you look at the video afterwards, he was walking around still hot, still ready. Yeah. I mean,
sure. And unless getting beat because he didn't kill him, it's not serious enough.
I'm just saying, if it's LA, how many, or California in that area, how many violent crimes do they have of just random people getting jumped to? I mean, there's a million different things here. It takes time. It takes time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right.
Because if you arrest them, you got to do something right away. You have to start prosecuting.
Yeah, but you still have at least 180 days to get it.
Yeah, but it's
before you can act, before you can go. But one thing I did want to ask is that I think liability. I think liability in this case can be extended to some other people. Like, for instance, what about the prospect of the promoters telling him to give him a receipt, but not really explaining?
Oh, he should be arrested too.
The receipt, right?
Can you guys? This is not my scene, and I probably missed it. I was a couple minutes late thanks to construction here in Newark. What's a receipt?
Receipt. All right. So in the wrestling business, a receipt is if somebody hit you by accident, but it hurts. Then you give them a receipt by hitting them for real as a response to them hitting you. So that's a receipt in wrestling. At the beginning, Raja was told to give. So, do you know the story about the Raja incident? He got hit in the can of here.
That I got.
So it came out that the promoter and the wrestlers told him to actually hit the guy back when he jumps in the ring, hit the guy for real as a receipt. To punch the guy for real because the guy did what he did to him. So he took that and said, okay, I'm going to go and punch. So not only did the promoter tell him, or the wrestlers told him, go punch him. So when he went and he did that, he says, when he's actually listening, he says, they told me to keep hitting him until somebody pulled me off for him. So I'm not sure if so I'm thinking the confusion may be, well, if the promoters told him to keep hitting him until people were pulled off.
So then I think it's going to come down to whether they knew or should have known that he had that he could flip a switch, because it seems that, it looks as if, for what you guys are saying, this is a common practice. It's part of the game, but presumably no one knew that once he started hitting, he would change and flip into an autopilot gear and just lose it. He utterly lost it. I mean, I'm sure, unless you could prove, which I imagine you can't, unless you could prove, go in there and beat the hell out of the guy. That doesn't make any sense. Right?
Well, there's a punch and there's a pummel.
Yeah.
I mean, good God.
Yeah, that was hard to watch.
I don't think they told. I think there was all confusion. They told him, give him a receipt, which is, and the guy comes out and said it, because then everybody started blaming the guy, right? Everybody started blaming the guy, like, yo, you told this kid to give a receipt. He gave the receipt, and now he's taking up the beating. So he came out. Matter of fact, I actually have the clip. I'll show you exactly what he said.
Yeah, while you're doing that, by the way, I mean, okay, how? Let's just go. How many people, UFC fighters, wrestlers, let's look at the entire industry and say, how many of them would keep going like that? I mean, this is not like a normal behavior.
No,
that is so beyond the pale. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I think at the end of the day, he knows what happened. I mean, like he knew what he did was wrong. But my interest is really the legal argument, right? It's whether whether legally he has some type of argument. Oh, sorry. Let me pull this
wrong one. A little hint. Next story coming up.
Oh no, this is the
I know. But those people who saw what you pulled up.
Because I was a big part of this shit. Promoter says, since this is already on camera, and you can go watch it for yourself, like I said.
Eric, can you pause it real quick?
Nate can.
This is already on film.
Do not do this. Talk to your lawyer. Do not just start talking out in the open to everybody. Like this is not how you do it.
Yeah, but Raja has to be happy.
Yeah, he's got to be happy. He's like,
yeah,
this is my criminal defense right here.
Promoter says, since this is already on camera, and you can go watch it for yourself, like I said, the tape never stopped running. Since this is already on film, let's go ahead and use it. Let's make it a part of the show. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, I'll give you a chance to go in on during his match, and you get your lick back. You see, I said receipt. I didn't say lick back. I said receipt.
Oh, well,
you know what receipt is?
There you go.
In pro wrestling. I'll do it.
Explain that for the people.
I'll do it. I will literally give myself a receipt right now. You ready? That's a receipt, bitch. That's all the fuck I told Roger to do. The only thing I told Roger to do was give him a fucking receipt.
So that's his response to everybody claiming that he
which, by the way, I think is a reasonable response. I when you said receipt, he hits you, he hit him. I was like, that's why I said there's a difference between a hit and a pummel. I have a feeling I don't appreciate the promoter saying that shit, but I can see his point of I never said, pummel him nearly to death. I mean, this guy could have died. It was that bad of an incident.
Yeah. But that confusion gives this kid some defense when it comes to, they told me to do this. I was confused. I didn't know. It at least plays on his intent. So you get from the you start playing with the intent now. Well, was
Oh, I get it. I get it.
That type
But
of
so
thing,
that's why I said drop it from attempted murder to aggravated assault. There we go. Done. That mitigates it down, but it's still a crime, in my opinion. You can't sit there and wiggle out because somebody told you. Let's say the guy did tell him to beat him half to death. I don't care, even if the guy told him to flat out do it. He's still responsible.
Yeah, for sure. It's not the Nuremberg, right? It's like the Nuremberg defense, but nah, he's done.
I think that if he loses control of his emotions, which if you see the video afterwards where he seems like a raving lunatic about not being disrespected, I think that you probably can say that, this was your classic act of a passion attempted homicide. I mean, that's what it seemed like. Passion doesn't have to necessarily be that, it's a love interest. Passion could be that you're not in control of your emotions you're not in control of your actions because you're getting so emotional. That's still not an attempt. It would be a manslaughter, attempted manslaughter.
Yeah, you're talking about voluntary manslaughter, the heat of passion.
It's
voluntary manslaughter.
How is this not voluntary manslaughter, especially when you see him afterwards, like talking about like how no one's going to mess with him?
I can see how you can't get to. So voluntary manslaughter generally has to do with what happened immediately before the incident, like a husband walking into a bedroom and seeing his wife with another man. That would put any reasonable person in that moment. That would upset them. That's voluntary. But what you're talking about is his actions afterwards, his rage afterwards. That wouldn't calculate until the voluntary manslaughter before.
I think you're missing my point. My point is, in his rage afterwards, he's explaining what was going through his mind. He's like that. He's not going to be disrespected. So he's actually, it's his rage afterwards is a confession as to what was going into his mind when that was happening, and that's why, to me, what's showing that it was a voluntary manslaughter. That the guy gave him a little bit of an inch. He gave him an inch of rope to give him a receipt, which either you know what receipt means or you don't know what it means. Now, maybe he's confused that receipt means pummel the hell out of him.
But no one could think that is a thing you can do. What he did to that guy. There's no standard of reference outside of Somalia.
Plus, his dad had been jacking him up with this whole thing about how you're not a man and everything like that. So you can see how these are, instead of finding a wife in bed, these are the precedent incidents which made him basically lose his mind temporarily and become an emotional wrecking ball. And
you know what? There were serial killers who were abused as children. I feel so horrible for that child, but I'm sorry, but the monster they became, that's on them at that point. I mean,
right.
So I get what you're saying.
I'm saying it's voluntary manslaughter. I'm saying it's not just aggravated battery. I think it's voluntary. I think it's attempted voluntary manslaughter.
Yeah, I think
I don't know if you have attempted voluntary manslaughter. Is that like a thing?
I think the
not.
issue. Yeah, I think the issue that you're not understanding is that the excitement, the part that made you want to do this, had to happen immediately or in some relation to before you committed the act. So that's what before he committed the act, he was actually pretty calm and jumped inside there and did all this. So it would lead you to not to a voluntary manslaughter,
but attempted
murder with or just a straight manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter with the reckless part of it. He was reckless in his actions, and he intended to do it.
I guess that distinction I think he charged and ultimately let the jury make their finding as to like what the right level of because to me I can hear a fair argument both ways.
I want you guys to listen to this. This is the part where I think his lawyers are going to have a great his argument is best here, because this is what he says right before he jumps in. So I'm very careful not to put the full thing here, but here it is. So we can't get to.
Can you make that full screen name? Yeah, thanks.
But I will tell you guys this: they told me to hit him and just leave. Somebody will pull me off of him and leave. I'm telling you, I'm gonna hit him as many times as I can. Watch.
So they told him to hit him. Somebody's gonna pull me off of him, and so there seems to be a lot of confusion now. I would suspect that this wrestling company would be a little bit more careful in telling people what they're going to do.
Yeah, the promoter denied that. The promoter said, "I said give him a receipt, not blah 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 blah." So now we've got a he said. situation, right?
Yes.
Unless that's on video.
What?
And
They're
now,
both
if he has
saying,
a-
no, they're both saying the same thing. He's saying he told me to hit him. He's saying
no. There's a
I said give him
difference.
a receipt. The other guy said I said to hit him. So maybe it's a different level of hitting. Maybe he
Well, no,
instructs receipt.
Joe, come on now.
But it's
The
one
other
hit.
guy said,
The
hold on,
guy's
hold on,
admitting
no.
he's going to keep pummeling him until he gets pulled off.
No, but he said he was told to keep hitting him to pull it off. The other guy
Play it
denied that. He
again.
said,
That's
give him
not
a
what
receipt.
he said. He said he's
All
going
right,
to hit
back
him
it up and play it
once,
again.
but
mate.
I'm going to keep hitting him until I get stopped.
So let me play it again. I'm sorry. Oops. Put it full screen and play.
Okay, there we go. But I will tell you guys this: they told me to hit him and just leave. Somebody who pull me off of him will leave. I'm telling you, I'm gonna hit him as many times as I can. Watch.
So they
See?
told me to hit him, and then somebody will pull
and
me
leave.
off
He
and
said,
leave.
told me
And
to
then
hit
he-
him and live.
But then
Yeah.
he said right behind it, so hit him, and then somebody's gonna pull me off him. So that way, I think there is the.
But
they
yeah,
said, I'm
but
gonna
But
get
did
will
they
say-
say that part?
M dash, but implied but. However, contrary to my instructions, I'm gonna hit him till they
Yeah.
pull me off.
Yeah, that
Thank
part
you.
right there.
That's what I was arguing about.
That's the
That
part, yeah.
after statement, I'm gonna hit him as much as I can. It's like I'm gonna get in all the licks I can get in before they stop me.
Yeah,
And that I think is a
That's a problem he has. That's
yeah,
his
and
problem.
maybe he misspoke, but that's why you don't talk about
Well,
that.
I don't know if he said that even out loud, though. What he said, he could have been expressing what
Mm-hmm.
he was thinking at the time. I don't know if he said that out loud. He goes,
He-
I'm
Well, he just said it on
going
the
to
video,
do
yeah.
this, but he didn't say, I said I'm going to do this, did he? He
Mhm.
said, I'm going to. So, like, that's his nature, is what I feel like he could have been saying.
No, yeah, but he is saying it out loud. Obviously, we all hear it. But
Oh, no, he's saying after the fact.
You're saying, Eric, he didn't say that to them, and I
Right.
agree with you, and that makes it worse. He's
Exactly.
like-
I know. I'm saying the dude needs to be hemmed up.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Not that he's going to jail. We're just trying to figure out what's the likelihood of the top count. Like I think he has a lot of mitigating factors here, right? The orders, it is the confusion. I don't know. I'm an MMA fighter.
No, I think they're weak. But you know what? While we're talking about repugnant people, let's shift to the next topic. And I'm not sure who are the bad guys in this case. Some people may disagree with me, but Ron, you have a lawsuit going up against the UK, who I think anymore are bad guys. You want to tell us what's going on? You're working for some unpopular people right now.
That is how these issues are always resolved. It's, first of all, power of this nature, the ability to cancel people, the ability to censor people, always starts out by attacking unpopular people, unpopular platforms who respectable law firms or lawyers will not represent. And once you establish a precedent with Illinois Nazis, to give you an example, then you start moving your way up the food chain, and you succeeded in chilling speech by the worst speakers, and you've also demonstrated that you can achieve this. And you go up to the little bit more respectable, and let me make it clear: the Online Safety Act is a UK law that is operated by Ofcom, which is the Office of Communications in the UK, whose website states that it is not in the censorship business, but which is very much in the censorship business. They sent essentially cease and desist letters to these two clients. They reached out. I don't think they reached out. Preston Byrne, who is really the man behind this. I mean, I'm the litigator. I'm the foot soldier, and I drafted most of the complaint. But the thinking behind this is Preston Byrne, who's a technology lawyer and who represents another website for charming and open-minded people, Gab, which was once my client, and we parted ways, not because of their disgusting content, which wasn't as bad in those days anyway, for other reasons, but I don't have a bad relationship with them. But Preston just contacted me and asked me if I'd like to help with this. Ofcom told him, if you don't stop posting stuff that we consider inappropriate for UK audiences, we're going to assess fines against you and all sorts of other administrative things that in the United States would be against the law. Now, this raises some very interesting issues. And it's an issue that I identified like 15 years ago when I was writing a blog.
Mm-hmm.
Can European governments enforce their law against American businesses, American speakers? The answer is, as of now, they don't necessarily have the power to do it legally, but they can do it. In other words, if the UK assesses a £10,000 a day fine against you every day, so all right, so if you're Kiwi Farms, you don't have any money, but nonetheless, there's a judgment being entered against you in the UK. That's not a world you ought to be living in.
Question,
also,
Ron. I'm sorry to interrupt because there are some precedents out there. I'm just curious about, like, it's like Rumble has pulled out of both France, they pulled out of Brazil.
Yep.
Could the argument be made saying, hey, I don't give a damn what you do there, but here in the UK, you can't put blah, 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 because our laws say this. Is the solution to pull out of that country, or, to try to block that country?
So one of the things that our client did was actually, it was, I don't remember which one it was.
The farms blocked.
They did block UK IPs.
Okay.
But then they had to take the block down to do some maintenance. And as soon as they did that, they got dinged again. They said, F this. This is freaking ridiculous. It's been 10 minutes, Okay. Our position is, if you want to build a wall around internet in your country so that your citizens don't have to ever smell the garbage dump,
build the wall yourself. Yeah, build the wall
ahead.
yourself.
So be more like China is what you're saying.
Be like China, be like North Korea, be like Cuba.
Okay.
But don't tell American, don't impose costs on us. And don't make us deprive your citizens. If you want to deprive your citizens of access, that there's nothing we can do about that, but we're not going to do the work for you. And also, you need to face the political heat for blocking. Don't make us the ones.
So procedurally, you're going after them in which jurisdiction?
District of DC.
And what is the authority that the District of DC has over the UK? Just because, why would you pick the DC district first and foremost?
Well, what district would you recommend?
No, I'm wondering.
No, I'm not being facetious. I'm saying
I would have thought the Ninth Circuit is very tech favorable, and that perhaps
Ninth Circuit is very government favorable.
Oh, okay.
And I will tell you that when I represented, they're the ones who affirmed the decision, the ridiculous Judge Breyer dismissal of his case against the state of California for literally telling Twitter to ban his account, which Twitter did. And as a matter of law, he dismissed it on a 12b6 judgment motion on the ground that did not allege state action, which is a preposterous application of 12b6. Ninth Circuit affirmed. But we also, DC is a place that governments governments have an interest in watching. It's a place, it's a place where the United States government is very cognizant of what's going on, and also where the judges have some level of sophistication when Trump is not involved, and at which time all things go, all rational reasoning goes out the window. But they're pretty accustomed to issues involving international affairs and diplomacy. In fact, our first two causes of action involve the insufficiency of process, because what they're trying to do is impose a penalty on these American companies without properly asserting jurisdiction over them. I mean, look, there's no precedent for this. There's no obvious statute for us here. We're putting it in front of the court with what we think are some of, there's probably going to be an amended complaint coming up.
How does your theory work as far as you having standing or the court having standing to intervene here with how UK is operating their thing?
Standing is not an issue.
I mean, I'm saying like the jurisdiction really is the issue. Like, how do they have...
I think that maybe the question you really want to ask first is there not sovereign immunity?
That's essentially what I'm saying.
So there is precedent in the DC circuit for finding exception. There are exceptions to sovereign immunity involving certain types of what are called instrumentalities of foreign governments, and that's a question to be decided. That's an open question.
Mm-hmm.
But the question of whether let's just say that this complaint is entirely compliant with Rule 11, but we recognize the uphill battle. At the same time, given that it's not a frivolous claim, there are things you can achieve with litigation in a politicized environment like this one, where there's already pressure heading in the direction of London, that can be effective. It can be an effective use of litigation. Again, as long as your claim is not frivolous. I signed those papers and stand behind them readily.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I agree. I think there's other options besides the litigation route that can affect change. But I think you guys have a great complaint. But the problem, I think, for you guys is this seems so insane of an argument from the UK government. It's like nobody's ever had to litigate this point because it's so stupid that they would try to harass US companies like this.
But it is something that we may need a law,
mm-hmm.
a law
mm-hmm.
like the what's it again? The Speech Act.
Yes.
Something like the Speech Act. So as you know, the Speech Act is a federal law which prohibits a federal court from enforcing a judgment that would be inconsistent, a foreign judgment that would be inconsistent with the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no judgment here, so we did not invoke the FACE Act. Not the FACE
mm-hmm.
Act. The
yeah. But it's so preposterous that you guys have to even come for this.
Right, but it might be that Congress will
mm-hmm.
need to pass a law that says
yes,
foreign censorship is just as bad. But again, let's put it this way: judges in DC Circuit have demonstrated a remarkable ability in the last few months to accept extremely creative legal arguments. So,
but they're highly motivated. So
yes, they're willing to be stunning and brave on so many
judge
levels.
is motivated by protecting our rights under the Constitution, Joe.
Yeah.
As long as our names are.
I guess the Farms needs to change his name to something Hispanic, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we'll take care of you, buddy."
Well, that's more of a Ninth Circuit kind of thing. So that's what's going on. We're having a lot of fun, and getting interviewed by UK media outlets. Preston is in this space a lot because of he represents a lot of technology companies. That he's a transactional lawyer. He's really soaked in this world in a way that I once was, but before it matured, and once it matured, I really have kind of moved away from that. But I'm the guy to call on when you want to try something that just might work and usually doesn't.
It's just crazy enough to work.
Yeah, that's right. And as I'm always reminding my wife when she asks me, why'd you say that, or why are you representing him? I said, Jane, I'm 62. At this point, ruining my reputation. The reputation is what it is. I'm not looking at the next, who's going to call me in 30 years because I represented the wrong people. The ones who are calling me now are the ones who familiar with the 35 years of my track record, and that's what it is.
Well, best of luck to you. It's a noble fight. It's a noble fight for sure.
I think, I think it is. And, again, I've never even logged on to or even visited 4chan.
You probably might not feel welcome. It's just a theory.
That's just a thought.
I get it.
Yeah.
I completely get it. And Kiwi Farms, I actually once did a search for myself in Kiwi Farms. I'm actually not a particularly unpopular guy.
Your phone should be marked safe from Kiwi Farms, okay?
So that's
it's Elo. It's Elo. Mark it safe from Kiwi Farms.
All right. You guys have any questions on that? I got a couple. I've got a couple super chats. Unfortunately, reach back to the original subject, but I do want to tie them to the original subject because there was a lot of heat there. Somebody said, "What about Raja's concussion?" I don't know about any concussion.
Yeah, he had a concussion before. He had just suffered a concussion like a week ago, and he was still suffering from the effects. Like he said, he was throwing up and had stuff.
That actually, I think, could be a mitigating factor.
That could be an aggravating factor, though. Too, you're not with it. Why are you going out and doing this stuff?
Yeah, I would think it would play the opposite way.
Yeah,
it would be like,
but he knows he had it through. He knew he was concussed.
Well, it's like Charles Whitman. Okay. I mean, Charles Whitman shot a lot of people in Texas. Horrible crime. Said he thought he had brain tumor. Turns out when they cut him open, it's like there was a massive brain tumor in there. It's like, that does change things a little bit.
Well, but just for all context with the concussion, that's the reason why people are saying that the hit on the head with the soda can even upset him even more. Because he was suffering from the concussion. He had actually spoke about it on his live stream right before it. And then the guy hits him, and then it's like, oh my God, that type of thing.
Even worse then, if you're going to screw around in a wrestling activity, which is very physical, I'm sure he had to sign a waiver knowing I could get hurt.
Really at the beginning, he was just there to watch the wrestling event.
Okay.
The guy hit him over the head with a soda can, thinking he was part of the event. He was like, "I'm not even part." He's not even part of it. He's just a fan. Wow. So in that instance, he didn't sign any waiver. There was nothing. He just got assaulted, which he was kind of randomly.
Okay. Well, I mean, I did not know about the concussion. I do think that adds, another thing. So instructions and concussion. So again, I'm willing to let go of the whole attempted murder part. Period. That's, in my opinion. I think we're definitely in assault land though because of the extent. But that's interesting. Hold on. Somebody wrote in. Several minutes behind, he gave him a receipt, just a CVS receipt and not a gas station receipt. Love y'all. Well played. And Obscure Destinations Outdoors, also known as Ron. Sean is so smart. We love that guy. Even Ron, and he hates everything.
Not everything.
Most things.
No. It's Ron Smith who's writing in, not you, Ron.
No,
But we know that you like Sean. All right. Well,
I hate almost everything.
Wanted to catch up on that. So now let's move on to more crime. And this is a talking about crime stats and the subjectivity of the truth, if you will, or lack thereof. Do you have that queued up? You sent me a video link, Nate, but I can pull it, or you can pull it.
For the DC crime stats?
Yeah, or we can just talk about it, I guess.
Yeah, we can talk about it. I'll pull it up. Go ahead, guys. So just to let everybody understand what's going on. So Trump obviously took over DC because DC is a federal district, so he sent in the troops. Crime is down like 87% in DC. But one of the big issues was you'll hear a lot of the left-wing commentators saying, well, crime is down in DC. It's been down. It's down 30%. It's the lowest crime rates in the history of DC.
Been down so long it doesn't remember what up is.
Yeah. Now, at the highest it's been was in 2023 when they had record crime, but all of a sudden in 2024 they had record low crime, and in 2025 crime is still going low. But one thing was going up in 2025 that didn't make any sense. It's like all of the crime is going up. Down, but murders are going up. So there was an investigation done. A police sergeant said that, hey, the crime is actually not going down. It's actually, they've told us to reinterpret the crimes. So for instance, if they go to this is what the police union said. So when cops go to a scene of, let's say, a shooting, and the person who was shot, if they're uncooperative, oh, I'm not nothing. They would, instead of putting that down as assault with a weapon, they would put that down as injured person and moved to hospital. So it actually wouldn't even be a crime, or injured person for something else. So that's the way so they wouldn't have to put that as an aggravated assault. They would just, it would be something else. So that's what the sergeant said. So they just recently settled that lawsuit. They paid that person, settled that lawsuit without claiming. Then recently, there was another police commander. This was the person who was actually in charge of putting the stats. It was found out that that person was also changing the stats, making the place look safer, because there was like some there was some added advantages if you were a police commander and the stats would look safer. So he was suspended for doing that. So now the argument is, can you trust any of the crime stats that DC puts? And then on top of that, PBS, which is obviously left-wing lunacy, they went and looked at the stats, and they found that the stats that DC was putting on his website were actually different than the stats that they were reporting to the FBI. The stats that are reporting to the FBI happen to be higher, and the stats that are reporting to everyone else happen to be lower. So with all of that, that's kind of what happened. So now the lefties are still crying. DC's crime stats are lower, but they're not saying that most people think that those crime stats are doctored.
I do want to point out, and then we can start trashing them again, but I always want to point out when something's surprising, and if the other side, whatever's doing it. The DC mayor came out this past week and actually acknowledged that the buildup of the federal presence buildup, however you want to call it, has driven the crime down, especially, and specifically mentioned carjackings have dropped by 87% or something like that. And I always want to praise, no matter who it is or whatever I think politically or whatever, I appreciate somebody acknowledging something being of use. So, before we get deep into it, I did want to say, hey, that was kind of a class move. I think it's cool that they did that.
Was it really class, or was it just you can't ignore that it actually is better now?
I'll take it either way, because I'll tell you what.
Fair enough.
Do you think that the mayor of Chicago is going to acknowledge that? You think that the mayor of LA is going to acknowledge that when she's, people are trying to give him money for fires? Give them some credit, whether whatever the reason, still doing the right thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So now back to it. Trash them.
I think the problem is that, so a lot of these major cities, DC and for instance Chicago, they can't recruit police officers. The pay is crap, and obviously, if you're a police officer, you make one mistake, they're trying to look to put you in jail for life. So DC is down like maybe 1,000 officers, and Chicago is down 2,000 officers. Matter of fact, the police chief of Chicago was sitting there begging people, "Hey, we have this issue. We need more police officers." So, but it's gotten to the point where even if Trump was to say, "Hey, I'll pay you for 5,000 officers, so you can close that gap of how many officers you need," the liberals are saying we don't want it. So that's what they did in DC and even Chicago. Like Chicago, I don't know if you guys saw the clip of the mayor of Chicago when Morning Joe was like, "Hey, you're down 2,000 cops, but if the mayor, if Trump give you the money, didn't even international, gave you the money for 5,000 more cops, would you take that money?" And he couldn't say yes.
Yeah, he's like, "I like this crime. It's great."
Yeah, but you know what it shows? It shows that he doesn't care. He just cares about that's Trump not doing it. So I actually have that clip if you guys want to see it. But I do
want to see that because I think it's important, and that's why I wanted to acknowledge again the mayor of DC. It is important. We can't move beyond this stuff unless people at least can agree on what the truth is.
Help put 5 also, Mr. Mayor. Those all sound like great programs. I'm curious. Would you also like to get federal funding to help put 5,000 more cops on the street in Chicago? Would that help drive down crime?
Well, look, policing by itself is not the full strategy.
No, I understand that. You've talked about the other things you want, and I said those are good and important programs, but I'm asking also, would 5,000 more police officers on the street in Chicago be helpful to go along with all of those social programs that a lot of cities are engaging in and having success with?
Well, look, here's the best way I can put it, Joe, is that in the 90s when I was in high school, we had 3,000 more police officers and we had 900 people being murdered every single year in Chicago. It's just not policing alone.
So what's the murder rate now?
I know it's not.
It's still really bad.
No. Pause for a second.
You've told me everything.
What is the murder rate now in Chicago? Because he's like, oh, it was 900. Well, what if it's 1,800? It's like, okay, so
no, it's lower than it was in the 90s. The 90s was
as of August 17th, 256 murders. So
okay,
it's down from a couple of years ago where they were doing like 700 murders a year.
Well, that's a good start. Okay,
But
yeah,
why
it's
would,
like DC.
why would you think Chicago's not doing the same thing DC was doing?
Oh, I agree. No, I agree.
But yeah, it's very much like DC, where it's like it's only 187 this year. It's not that bad.
It's not horrible.
As long as it's not one of your
else you want. I'm curious, and this does come down to an ideological difference between people. Do you believe that the streets of Chicago would be safer if there were more uniformed police officers on the streets of Chicago?
I believe the city of Chicago and cities across America would be safer if we actually had, affordable housing.
Oh my God.
That's not the question I asked. My question is, and I just need a yes or a no. Do you believe the streets of Chicago would be safer if you got all of those other extraordinary programs put back into place, which do have a history of being successful, if that's complemented by having 5,000 more cops on the streets of Chicago?
I don't believe that we should narrow it down to just police officers. That's what I'm saying. That is an antiquated approach. I'm saying we've invested in detectives.
Mr. Mayor, are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm agreeing with you that all of these other social programs are extraordinarily important. I just need a yes or a no, and then this will be the last time I ask. If you get all of those other social programs that 800 million that New York City does, Los Angeles, other people do with great success, would an additional 5,000 cops on the streets in Chicago help complement those programs to make Chicago safe?
But before he answers, I want to make sure everybody is clear. First, it was would they help lower crime? No. Would they just be effective? No. Now he's just saying, would it just help? Right? He's just saying, give you 5,000. Would it just even help? Let's see if he can just.
And I agree with this. Hold on, I agree with HPWY. These are softballs. He's literally handing it to you. Like, all you have to say is, it's okay, it's good. Joe Scarborough's so far up this guy's ass and on his side, he's literally trying to puppeteer him to say, here, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you.
Safer.
Look, we are working hard to make sure that our police department is fully supported. I don't believe that just simply putting out an arbitrary number around police officers is the answer. What I'm saying is policing and affordable housing.
That's it. So it's insane because he can't just say, yeah, give me 5,000 more, especially since now the key point here is they're down 2,000 officers. The police department is begging for more officers now. They have a hiring shortage. They're saying we need more officers, and he can't even admit that they can. It's like, this is why I think people are leaving the Democratic Party en masse, because it's not even a hard thing to admit. It's like, what the hell's the problem here?
Can we all agree on one thing on that, Nate? Can we all agree that crime is not partisan? That it affects everybody? It's kind of like a virus. A virus doesn't care if you're a left-winger, right-winger, conservative, liberal. It affects everybody. And I feel like crime is something that we need to stop this shit. More crime is bad, less crime is good. It's not a giant crazy equation. And the less all of us are hurt, then the more time we have to argue about everything else.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. I don't know what everybody else in the panel thinks, but it's to the point now where when did just reasonable, like right now, DC's down 87% in carjackings, people feel safer. Like, when did crime become so bad, such a political tool where someone says, we'll give you the extra cuts? Because that's essentially what Trump is saying now. You're down 2,000 cops, we'll give you that extra help. temporarily until you can get yourself back up. Obviously, crime's a problem. We'll do this and make, at least as a bridge to at least address the problem. It's like, well, we'd rather people in our, again, black people are the ones being killed. We'd rather want them dead than to have help.
And he will be reelected by those black votes as many times as he's allowed to run.
Well, you think so?
I think so.
But his approval rating right now is in the single digits. No, matter of fact, let me because he actually just went up massively. He went from 8% to 26%. And every racial group, black, white, Asian, all have him disapprove of his job rating. So he is not winning with any group, blacks, whites, whatever. Blacks even in Chicago are tired of Brandon Johnson.
All right. Well, I got a question though, Nate. If the Republicans run a white counterpart against him, what are the odds? Now, if there's a black Republican that can run against, well, I don't even think a Republican could win in Chicago. No, in my opinion, it would be a stretch. So you're in primary land now, right? If you can get some sort of a primary candidate, but I don't know.
But that also worked for that's how he won. Because
that's the irony is that we were all celebrating Lori Latchfoot being tossed out, only to realize this is so much worse.
Yeah. This
so maybe they could find somebody even worse than this guy. I mean, they've got a good record.
Well, I don't know. Lori Lightfoot was horrible. But
I agree, but it's degrees. It's like the Dante's circles of hell. I mean, what do you want? And she's doing good work in Dalton now.
Oh yeah. But what can you do? This is ridiculous. But
wait a minute, Mayor Hinyard needs work.
No, she's been fired. They fired her finally.
No. But that's what I'm saying. She can go move to Chicago, and maybe she can run.
maybe. Oh my God.
Oh God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all of you who live in Chicago. I truly am sorry for you, but all of you who live there and voted for this knucklehead, I have no sympathy.
Well, what about the next case with Shiloh?
Okay, yeah. While we're talking the black-white paradigm, let's turn it up to 11. Okay, Shiloh Hendrix, who likes the N-word in playgrounds. Tell us the story, Nate.
Well, so obviously, white woman goes to a playground with her kids. Everybody's playing. A black child goes into her purse and starts rummaging around the purse. She obviously gets upset, starts calling the kid the N-word. Somebody films it, and the internet goes crazy. She starts raising money because of not only the N-word, but people feel sorry that she's essentially, because if you say the N-word, you can lose your job and all that stuff in this bad moment. Mm-hmm. She raised $1 million, but now she's being charged in New York for a criminal violation, and essentially it's harassment or alarm. I'm sorry, Minnesota. Harassment or alarm for the words that she said to this young kid. Now, most people say that this is likely a violation of the First Amendment because it's not illegal to call someone the N-word or any type of racial slur.
Agree.
But they're saying that this was kind of like they're
trying to make it a hate crime.
Harassment or hate crime. But they're charging her with a misdemeanor. Now, I think it's a stretch, but obviously,
I don't like that. I don't like that idea of like, oh, it's only a misdemeanor. It's like, no, if it's wrong, it's wrong, because this is a slippery slope argument that Ron is making as well. Like you go after the most repugnant people, and it's what is it? First They Came, the very famous poem from World War II. It's not a complete stretch, but it's like, hey, first they came for this repugnant person. Everybody's like, oh yeah, I can't stand them anyway. Then they came for the slightly
first they came for the Red Sox fans. Yeah, I know.
That's deserved. No, all right. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I don't follow sports.
And we're to the point now, because I know some people are saying, well, are those fighting words? We're to the point now where really that stuff has all kind of disappeared at this point, because when fighting words came out, the case that's about Chaplinsky, the guy called a police officer a goddamn racketeer and a goddamn fascist. And you're like, in 1942, that was pretty spicy. But now think about all the things you can say today that aren't considered fighting words. You can say some really heinous stuff. So, yeah, her saying all this is
Okay, question.
definitely
Nate and I
not.
were talking about this offline before the show. Okay,
Mhm.
and Nate brought this up, so but I'll bring it up. If she was not white, if she was any other race, and said the same thing, could she be prosecuted? Because it is a unique situation that being white has words that are illegal for an entire race, it seems. Now, I could be wrong, but somebody help me out here, because it does seem that everything depends on what race the individual saying it is, and that is a problem.
But well, it is a problem, and in fact, when we argued the Slants case in front of the Supreme Court, we had to constantly remind people that, remember, those of you who are not familiar with it, we represented a band of Asian Americans who wanted to call their band the Slants, and they wanted, which they were allowed to do. No one could stop them from doing that. They wanted to register their name as a trademark, and the Patent and Trademark Office refused their application to register the mark because the trademark law prohibited the registration of disparaging trademarks. And our client argued before I got involved, well, but we're Asian American, we're reclaiming this mark for ourselves, we're reappropriating it. And the argument always was, it doesn't matter actually who's saying it. It's true that by you being Asian American, there's more appeal to your argument than in the case of, say, the Redskins, which was working its way through the courts on a parallel track at the same time, because it's not American Indians who want to call their football team the Redskins. But it doesn't matter it can't matter who's saying it, because then the law is going into Nuremberg laws. Well, are you really Asian? What if you're 50% Asian? What if you're 3/4 Asian? What if you're quadroon Asian? Okay, we can't have that. The law has to be the same for everyone.
Trans Asian.
Well, that's a full pass.
But let's keep it real though. If she was black, this wouldn't even be a story, right? This wouldn't even be a story.
No, that would be a conversation.
And that's my problem. The fact that
Nate, that would be a conversation. Not even a story, it'd be a conversation.
No,
I've heard it go back and forth. Inward.
The thing that scares me about this is that we're essentially doing what we said we all hate, right? We're essentially saying, if you are this race and you say this particular thing, you can be prosecuted. But if you're this race and say the exact same thing, you can't be prosecuted. To me, that's horrific. That's horrific.
No, it's way out of line, and I'd love to get involved in that case if I could. Even though I'm not a criminal defense lawyer, but on the First Amendment piece, this is a chip shot.
Yeah, it's like, really, like don't get me wrong. What she said was vile. She shouldn't have said it. Blah blah blah.
She should get her ass kicked.
Yeah, but unfortunately, in America, you can say I like the people who are putting up like the other countries where you can't burn a flag, like in Russia, you can't burn a flag, in North Korea. And I'm like, I'm glad I don't live in North Korea or Russia. You know, I live in the United States where you can do something like this. So
100%.
I think we've gotten to the point where the Democrats and the left are so focused on race that they forget they're pushing forward the same racism that they pretend that they're against. But it just doesn't make any sense. But what can you do?
I get frustrated by it, and I think we all agree on it, that we don't appreciate the language. We understand that she said it in a moment. She was angry. A lot of us say stupid things when we're angry. I usually don't slip into that particular version of it myself, but again, it is wrong. It's vile. I understand an insult flying back and forth, what have you, but I just don't. I don't think it should be a misdemeanor, felony, or even a fine. I don't think it should be anything, because again, it'll just be an escalation, up down the line. It's like, so now you start fining everybody. Before long, will be the UK. I mean, we have somebody in the UK who said they like bacon. Okay, they love bacon, and because they said it in front of the wrong people, they're hauled away by police.
There's no crime, and there never should be any kind of crime for being a verbal jackass. That's really it. If you're a verbal jackass, there should never be any crime for that. That's exactly what our First Amendment is for.
Agree.
It protects. We won't need a First Amendment if it only protects speech we like. You wouldn't need one. It protects the speech you don't like.
And by the way, sometimes the ideas that are so offensive that they need to be protected wind up becoming mainstream 5 years later. And that's part of the reason for the First Amendment too, is that it's not the popular ideas that matter. It's the ideas that people haven't heard, and maybe they're not ready for them. You know, sometimes in fairness, you just hear something that's so radically different than what is the norm that it takes time for that idea to take hold. And then over time, it's like all of a sudden, it becomes the popular stance too. I don't have an example at the top of my head, but it does happen in history.
I just want to confirm something with you, Ron. You won that case, right?
Yes, thank God.
Okay, good. Yeah, so they got the slants. As I mentioned that in the chat to someone. But
Oh
I just
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
make sure.
They got.
Now I have a question. Did the publicity help the band at all?
Not nearly as
No.
much as I think it should have.
Not really as much as their music hurt it. So
All right. While we're on that, I've got another video clip that's discussing it. I want to run it by everybody. I think it goes in line with this. And that is right here. And it's talking about Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is not a popular guy with the people on the left. Okay. I think he knows it and whatnot. So here is a commentary on it. This guy, Larry, I forget his last name. I'm just going to play it out. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's not that long.
It's Larry Connor, isn't it?
I guess I don't remember his last name. Yeah.
Well,
He's a radio host. Popular guy. Just no.
Who's the bad guy? Who's the evil one? Who's the monster? Stephen Miller.
Really quickly, Abby, because anytime that we play something from Stephen Miller, it would be journalistic integrity to point out that he is a white supremacist and he is the brainchild behind this policy. That's not my opinion. That's actual facts. And for him to purport lies from the Oval Office as a white supremacist, it should be pointed out. Look, it's reporting. Washington Wall Street Journal's own reporting.
I want to address. So, what you just witnessed, I know a lot of people are like, I can't believe CNN let them do it. That's libel. That's libel. She can't say that. That's libel. You can't like that's libel. Horrible. That's libel. Hold on. Let me just set the record straight. Forgive me for having to be the fact checker here, but you're wrong. That is not libel. Libel is when you defame somebody with a written word. That's slander.
No.
But it's defamation nonetheless.
Nope.
What you just witnessed was a classic textbook. And when I say textbook, I mean textbook for law school. Example of knowing, premeditated, with an absence of malice. No, I'm sorry. Within a preponderance of malice, defamation.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I brought this on because
is he a lawyer?
No, I don't think so. But I will say I disagree with this. But I'm not a lawyer.
Everything he said is wrong. Everything he said is wrong. It's a statement of opinion, so it cannot be defamatory. It's clearly a statement of opinion, so it cannot. Even if she says it as textbook established, that's a fact. It still is an opinion. That's first and foremost. And second of all, it's not slander because she's saying it on tape, so it's there forever. The point of slander is spoken word that comes and goes, as opposed to libel, which is something that's recorded. It's not recorded written word. It would be.
It's not defamation, is
but
what
it's not defamation.
If
it
were,
if she did it's not defamation. But I happen to believe that this concept that calling someone a racist can only ever be opinion is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But it is the law in every jurisdiction.
So it is not textbook what he said.
It's textbook the opposite.
It's quite the opposite. It's opposite textbook that it's not. Because you can call anybody a white supremacist, and what white supremacist means, we argue about it all the time. What it means to a Democrat is separate what it means to a Republican. So, because of the nebulous of it, I think he's harping on the fact that she says he is in fact, but even coaching it in that, it's still an opinion.
Rachel Maddow, everyone, no, but even in her case, that would seem to be stronger than this case.
But don't forget, Richard Maddow said no reasonable person would watch my show and believe that anything they said here.
Or
is
Tucker
true.
Carlson, he proves that more and more all the time.
Tucker Carlson said the same thing too. So,
Well, and by the way, Tucker has proven that to be absolutely true of late, in my opinion. But whatever, that leads us perfectly in, I think, to the last topic we're going to cover.
the Trump executive order for the
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, I'm so glad you were here because Joe, I have designated you. He doesn't know it yet, but you are Donald Trump's personal defendant on all claims against him on this channel. Joe is the number one spearheading Donald Trump defender for any decision. I think you'd accept that and enjoy that
in a heartbrit. Yes,
okay,
I'm very flattered.
Okay, so what we want you to do now is talk about the brilliant legality of coming up with a law that seems to go completely against a 1989 decision that Anton Scalia wrote the decision. Yeah. I read 89. I think everybody else did, but whatever.
US v. Eichmann was 1990. It was 1989 law that was I think it was 1990 decision said that what number it was section 700 of something was basically that Congress had passed a law which said that you can't desecrate a flag, and US v. Eichmann came back and said that law is unconstitutional. It's a form of free speech, and accordingly, that you cannot pass a law that would stop it. Now, I will say this: the authors of this particular EO were very mindful of US v. Eichmann, and they were very artful in the way they tried to specifically address the restrictions that are placed by US v. Eichmann and tried to find a way to make it illegal irrespective of US v. Eichmann, or work the boundaries, basically go as close up to the border of US v. Eichmann as they can without being overturned. In fact, if you look at section 2C of that,
Joe, you're kind of horribly wrong. So you were going with it.
You think I'm mistaken?
The case is actually Texas v. Johnson. It's in 1989. He actually cites it within the executive order. It's like the second paragraph, and they tried to actually massage the executive order around that, and that's the case we were talking about. Texas v. Johnson. That's where there was a flag. Now the Eichmann case was a case that strengthened the Texas, but the case that everyone's pointing to that's even cited in the executive order is Texas v. Johnson. No disrespect.
No, I don't take any respect, and we want to inform our audience correctly. So you're right. Eichmann is that Johnson was the precursor, and Eichmann was the fortification. Okay,
correct.
But the point is, so now we're working in an Eichmann world, though, because that's the fortification, right? I mean, so we got to work by that higher standard.
People
reference US v. Johnson.
It's like Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade is the thing, but everybody, it's Casey that was actually the case, but Roe v. Wade is the standard.
Fair enough. I appreciate you correcting me on that. So the point is, if you pull up the executive order, I think it's section 2C or D thereof. Can you pull it back up there? The order, you'll see that the key in section 2C, I think. To the first words there, to the maximum extent permitted by the Constitution, which actually
would mean that none.
Well, no, yeah, but I think it's a fair read is the Constitution as interpreted by the Supreme Court. So that's how I certainly would defend this if I was the government's counsel. And the way we should anticipate this coming up is that they're gonna, to the extent they try prosecuting it, someone will declare that there's two ways that this can come up, and if there's a third way, you guys can correct me. One is you'll have the ACLU or some other free speech groups which will come out there and have them try and get a declaratory statement judgment that this is an unconstitutional EO, or someone will be charged, and at that point the ACLU will join in and they'll say this person over here was improperly charged under this EO, and accordingly this should be ruled to be something that's completely unconstitutional in the wake of Texas v. Johnson. And my point is, even if the government were to lose on that case, they can point back and say, okay, so that that instance with Mr. Jones over here was a misapplication of the CEO, because we were only directing them to do it to the maximum extent permitted, and thereby keep the entire EO rather than strike down the entire EO, which is what the ACLU and other agencies would want to do. Say, okay, this is obviously has to be conforming because it's the maximum extent permitted, and if there's a misapplication in this particular instance, that doesn't mean that this EO in and of itself is something that is violating the Constitution, and accordingly, I think they helped ensure or protect it from being struck down, at least by the Supreme Court, district courts and lower courts, who knows what they'll do, but from being struck down as something that is patently unlawful. That was my thought, and they're very, very mindful of it. If you read throughout the entire EO, they're very, very mindful of Supreme Court precedent, and I personally do not believe that flag burning should be something that the Supreme Court ever should have recognized as protected free speech. I don't think that's a form of free speech which we as Americans should ever be looking to protect out of fear that that's going to erode our free speech. If we stop people from burning flags, that's going to erode free speech. I completely disagree with
this. Well, this is good. Now I'm going to jump in because I disagree with you on that, Joe, and in the sense that, like, okay, I find anybody burning the flag to be repugnant, distasteful. I can't stand it. I don't like it. But the height of the irony is our flag is so strong and so powerful that in of itself being burned is upholding it. I know that sounds completely bonkers, but that is my belief. It is the message and the element of it that our flag itself is like a soldier for us. It is representing us, and even being burned is representing us because it is a more powerful message than the symbol that the flag is. And I know that sounds goofy, silly, but that is my opinion.
I don't think it sounds goofy or silly. I've heard that argument several times before. It's a very Christian type of argument of it's like, the flag putting itself on its own cross and willing to be, destroyed for the purposes of protecting our free speech. It's almost like dying for our sins type of thing that the flag is purportedly doing there. The reason I disagree with that in concept is, first and foremost, it's not actual speech. I understand that a verbal act is the same thing as speaking. It's get expression. That. It's expression, right? But it's not speech.
I can't talk. I'm a mute.
I understand that. Yeah. But it's not really speech. In other words, if you're a mute, you can convey a particular specific idea. When you set a flag on fire, that's not actually, that action itself is not actually expressing a particular idea of the United States sucks because of this, the United States sucks because of that.
I don't have to say why. Idea. I can just say it sucks.
Yeah, hold on.
America sucks.
But
I don't have to say why.
I have to disagree. Just as a point of law, Supreme Court finds that speech is essentially encompasses expression. For instance, the famous case, it's a stripper pasties case, where the stripper sued because there was a law that said strippers couldn't lap dance and they had to wear pasties, and the Supreme Court said that the act of stripping and lap dances were a sexualized message that they could convey that was protected by the First Amendment. They weren't saying anything. So they even see a stripper dancing at a strip club conveying an erotic message as protected under the First Amendment with obvious limitations. So speech.
Nate, I started this conversation by addressing this from a philosophical rather than what a Supreme Court precedent perspective is. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying I disagree with the Supreme Court precedent. Got it. And I'm saying, you can come at me with all sorts of things. Well, the Supreme Court says this, Supreme Court says that, and I'm like, and I'll agree with you. I'll be like, that is what the law is.
From the law is versus what
you're philosophical versus philosophically what makes sense. And the point that I'm making is, I'll allow, if you want to broaden as much speech as possible, if your goal is to broaden as much speech as possible, the statement of burning the flag is basically it's a call from any reasonable perspective to destroy the entire construct of the United States as we have it. It either means that or destroy all Americans.
Well, Joe,
that's
if I
what
light a
it's
copy of the
essentially saying.
Constitution on
I
fire, would
never
that be
thought
illegal
that,
too?
Joe. I've never interpreted it as a call to anything.
Well, then what is it? Well, what form of speech expression is it?
It's symbolic, like Sean's about to say. Sorry, go ahead, Sean. About
Yeah,
burning
Joe,
the
like, can I
Constitution.
take it? Like, can I print out the Constitution and light it on fire? Am I allowed? Like, is that? I mean, that would be. I don't like this law. I don't appreciate this. I don't appreciate that.
It's a great question.
Is that a call to action?
Gentlemen, I'm sorry. I got to go to the chemo treatments for my wife. So
God bless. Dude, go be a husband. Be a husband. Great seeing you, Nate.
Well,
See you,
I'm
Nate.
headed to the hospital, so I'll see you guys a little later.
Nate's leaving because he's losing, chat.
Yes, I hate you guys. Even though you guys know.
Nate has one request before you leave. Hit the like button, damn it.
Yes.
Hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, you need to do it now. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So my perspective is I do not think that if we first and foremost, I don't think that if we say this is one thing you cannot do, I don't think that creates a slippery slope. I think you should be allowed to burn every flag on earth. I don't care if it's Canada, if it's Israel, Hamas, pride
the super
flag,
chat
every
flag right there.
on
Yeah,
flag.
burn the pride flag. Agree, but I think that all flags. I'm just going to go one flag further and say all flags.
Well, and what I'm saying is that's the one flag that I would say should be inviolate. And the reason for that is that the nature of your free speech comes because of the blessings of the American construct. There's no other place on earth, and you both will recognize this. No other place on earth near, and we covered a whole story with the UK today. You know, the Western and enlightened society and how onerous they can be with respect to free speech. There is no other place on earth which comes close to allowing free speech the way that we do. So the same way I wouldn't allow someone to come into my chat and destroy the chat. And out of expression, I want as much free speech as possible. But if someone is spamming, what they're essentially doing is they're taking this medium for free speech and destroying it so that no one else can have free speech.
By the way,
in
Joe,
fact, I'm wrapping. I'll land my plan. You guys can respond. If in fact you're actually calling for the destruction of the bastion of free speech, you are actually calling for eradication of the very speech of the ability to do exactly what it is that you're doing. And that's why I'm saying, and that's why while you look at it as let's hoist it on the cross and let it die for our sins, and basically that is, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or blasphemous, but I hope no one's taking it that way. But my point is that you're basically saying it's dying and showing it its own power through death. What I'm saying is no, we should stand there and say that we need to protect this medium, the medium being the construct of the United States of America, and that's why this is the one zone that it's no, you can't go there.
By the way,
Joe,
Joe,
I would say.
Here's an irony for you. Do you know what you are supposed to do with a flag that has been worn out?
Just burn it
or damaged.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be a respectful pyre. That's like that shows the level of respect
now
we
you
have.
see you're parsing this so much, and that's part of it.
No, I'm
so
not
we have a
parsing.
crucifixion
I'm
or a
not parsing.
pyre.
I'm not parsing. I'm not parsing. You're proving my
Yes.
point, Eric. Eric, you're
proving my point because
no, because we all understand there's a difference. The same way we understand you're laughing, and I don't understand. I don't understand how you think that your point doesn't hurt you. You were basically treating it like it's a human being. The flag when we put it in a fire. Are you telling me it's the same thing burying someone alive as burying someone who's dead? That's what you're saying. So you're saying, oh, well, we bury the dead.
No, I'm saying that the
bury this living
actions are
person.
burning, and again, it is
the action of burying. The action of burying. This is a living flag in the sense of it's not a ruined and tattered flag. It's completely healthy flag. The body of the flag is healthy, and you're saying set it on fire. So you set a corpse on fire
too. Are you going to beat up Sean?
I agree with Joe to an extent here, but I think Eric, if you bring it back up, I think the real reason for this executive order is Part D. Like as you read through it, it's garbage until you get to Part D. And this is what it's for. We are going to use this as an immigration tool.
Oh, yeah.
You want a visa, you're here temporarily, and you start lighting it on fire, you get a fuera. Bye, buddy. Peace out. You hate it so bad, you're gone. I think that's what this is ultimately being used to do.
100%.
So,
100%.
I mean, the rest of it's all kind of just gobbledygook and fluff, but there's some of it, the one part where they say there's no, as part of Texas v. Johnson, the idea that it's not provocative. Well, it's entirely meant to be provocative. You're saying something's wrong with the country. That's about as provocative as you can get. So I think it's all about this getting, we are going to use this to get rid of, if you don't want to be here that bad and you think it sucks, then we're not going to allow you to be here.
We don't have any other reason that we can do that. I mean, we can't do it on immigration violations. We've got a million things we're gonna
It's
come
just an
up
extra,
with.
If you don't want to be here in America, you think it sucks so bad, why'd you apply for a green card?
Well, and I agree with all that, by the way, but it's just, this is getting into, I hate to say it, virtue signaling.
Oh, it's not necessary.
I'm
It's not
sorry.
necessary.
It is ridiculous. And again, I always have to clarify, but I absolutely am offended by anybody burning the flag, and I don't want any part of them. I don't want to know them. I can't stand them. I find it despicable. However, and that however is a big however, and I know that everything prior to the but is irrelevant. It's the latter, but it is, I'm sorry, it is speech, and you're going to have a really difficult time getting me off that stance, because to me, again, it is the highest level regard of the strength of our country. And
I fully agree.
And that's it. And I mean, and I understand, Joe, fine. It is offensive, but
it's not.
And I love the Constitution example that Sean gave.
It's a great. He's asking a great question. The obvious, the strongest distinction, and I'm not crazy about this distinction. Okay, so I'm telling you that I think you're asking a great question. The strongest distinction is that no one, if it's actually a form of the Constitution, no one knows what words are written there. It's not as visibly a thing. But I don't like that. I preface this by saying I don't like it. Frankly, I would think about putting the Constitution second on the list behind the flag, but I think that starts a slippery slope.
How about the Declaration of Independence? We should probably
you don't have to know it's on it, but it's our founding documents.
Declaration of Independence. Someone's burning that. I would not even think of putting a restriction on burning that. I think they're an idiot. But no, but because that's not the foundation of our country. That's not the foundation of what. No, it's not. It's not. It's not the rules by which we're governed, which is the call for the overthrow. It's basically a call for overthrowing.
It is the foundation. It literally is the foundation.
I understand.
It may not be the rules,
but I'm not looking to disparage the Declaration of Independence. I'm simply saying that the flag, I think Constitution is a better question on me than the Declaration of Independence. That was the point I was making. So, look, I understand the position that you're taking, and I can respect that, and I think you guys respect that. The reason I make a distinction for the flag, I think that there's no nobler way, there's no greater way we can show a noble honor than say this is that you can burn any other flag but this. It's an indicia of our respect for our American privilege. And our American privilege is a massive, massive privilege, far greater than perhaps any other privileges that people can have aside from money. Money's pretty good, but
no, and I agree with you,
privilege
Joe.
is pretty good.
I understand your point. I just think, on the other hand, though, all these other places you burn the flag, you get in trouble, and here in America, we let you do that. You can burn the American flag, and we can't lift a finger to stop it. Yeah. I mean, obviously, as long as you're not causing arson or whatever, but I could sit there in my front yard and light it on fire, and that's perfectly legal. The police don't come by and crack my teeth open. You do that in your country, that might happen. And that's the privilege you have. You have that advanced citizenship to be outlandish, and it's acceptable.
I understand it.
Can I step back one bit and just ask one question? Because I've always interpreted the First Amendment as not a right that is granted from the government, but in fact a right that is acknowledged from the government. Like, it is a right saying that, you know what, these aren't rights we're giving you. We're saying, you know what, God gave you these rights, or whatever chance you want. These are the rights that you, as you come here with, and we acknowledge that.
How does
and therefore, those rights actually precede the country itself.
Okay.
These rights are higher, and that would include the flag.
I don't see how that changes what I'm saying, because the flag is the one that's basically shielding those God-given rights. It's our flag that shields those God-given rights, but greater than anyone. That's why
but but those rights that are they're already existing. It's not shielding; it's acknowledging.
Well, you just said we're shielding what God gave.
Okay, but that would include the flag
So
itself.
why
Those rights exist whether the country's here or not, according to the Constitution. If you really break it down, they're God-given; they're not country-given. This is not a grant from the government. This is something that we have by our birth, our existence. And the government's saying, you know what, you're right. You have these rights or liberties, with the whole argument with Nate on that. But
I guess, Joe,
are
are you arguing that the flag is the symbol, the visual symbolism of that guarantor? The U.S. government will acknowledges these are your rights, and it will protect your rights. Or is that what you're arguing?
I think that's a fair way of synopsizing what my point is. Yeah,
and it's a symbol.
And that's why I'm saying, like, I sort of think of my own chat, and I'm like, look, I'm going to let you do anything there as long as it's not really destroying the chat, or as much as I can, as long as it's not destroying it for everyone else. And these people who are burning a flag are basically saying, let's destroy everyone's natural protection for free speech. So I think I'm protecting free speech by basically saying that I'm not allowing a call for the overthrow of free speech. Anyhow,
you know what? Just a perfect point to wrap up on, because I am hoping that the comment section can be littered with comments telling me that I'm wrong or I'm right, or Joe is right, or Joe is wrong. I think
you should clip this, because I think this is the essence of what we do here. It's like we try to really wrap our heads around both the law and philosophy. It's like, what's right. And to me, this is like I enjoy these conversations more than anything. So I would clip this if I were you, Eric. But
perhaps I will. Good idea. I will depend on Joe sharing it out if I clip it. No, I'm going to only take the part that you should clip. Actually, that would be a funny clip. Yeah. You should clip this part and then literally start right there. People like, what? What the hell is that?
Oh, you put that in the front. You front load that. I like it. I like it.
All right, Sean.
Yes.
What do you have coming up?
Well, we are finishing up the last little bit of the Cardi B trial. That was a very interesting thing that went down the past couple of days. She was accused of assaulting a security guard, and it's like borderline the most frivolous lawsuit I've ever seen. It's a civil trial, and it's been absolutely ridiculous. And Cardi B, I will say, if you guys have not seen her, she had to take the stand and testify. She was very good. She was destroying the plaintiff's attorney pretty good on that. Closing arguments happen on Tuesday, so we'll be covering that. And then next week, I'm doing a case of a guy in Atlanta named Roderick Teasley. It's nothing special. It's a regular murder trial. It's a regular murder trial in America. There's not a whole lot of witnesses. It's did the guy do it? And I'm just showing that just for the idea of, we have the Wendy Adelson or Donna Adelson lady. We have Karen Reed. We have all these crazy cases out there. But the reality is, there's a reality that's not at all like the rest of this stuff. So we're going to start that next week.
Okay. And Joe?
So.
I'm just living the dream. So,
okay.
There you go.
Okay. While you're living the dream, I will be back again today at 5:30 for America's Untold Stories later.
What are you guys doing?
Well, I think that we're going to have to go into the trans situation. Probably it's a headlining story, and there's a lot of other stories out there. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's sort of a slow news week. It kind of is, in comparison. I mean, no, I'm not trying to downplay anything else that's out there, but I'm just, because I have to say, okay, what's going to be the headline? What's going to be the thumbnail? And by the way, it's like, how are you dealing with a trans story as a thumbnail when you're talking about YouTube and how psycho they literally is, in my opinion? Like, oh, you want to talk about a protected class of citizens? I can't think of anyone more protected. So right now, and I'm just curious while I have you guys, this is what I'm doing as the thumbnail because I don't know how to I don't know how to represent the storyline to get it together, to get eclipses behind the scenes for people who care about this sort of thing. So this is what I have for the thumbnail. What do you guys think? I know it's not directly on point, but I feel shows the emotion of the damage of what really happened and hopefully the severity of what happened. But I mean, I don't like putting the trans shooters up because I think in a weird, that's like giving them more publicity, more fame, more things like that.
You could put the families up hugging their kids and stuff. I think that could, you're not showing the shooter, but you're showing the humanity of the people that were there dealing with it.
I
just thought, but I mean, otherwise, yeah, it works.
I actually I had ChatGPT make for me like a cartoon school with like blood, like a Catholic school with like blood.
Joe has ChatGPT's never been to a Catholic school. Like, what is this thing that they go to?
No, I was like, make a Catholic school and like, but covered in blood, and like that's basically that way, because otherwise, I don't know if people are going to identify or recognize when they see a picture of that guy there as being related to this story at all. You know what I'm saying? It's not a face that's easily identifiable. The shooter's face is the only one that's identifiable. So, and I understand what you're saying as far as not glorifying shooters. So I get that. But this way, you sort of enable people to understand what it is you're talking about without, and by using cartoon rather than a real life picture, it just sort of, it makes it less.
See, but here's Moni already. That's pretty gruesome. So I don't know. I mean, I don't. Again, I'm just kind of sharing with everybody on the. I usually have an easier time with this. I'm hoping that they read the title or just this is a new show that we have an audience. But I don't know. I'm just trying to find something compelling on that. And
yeah, I was sharing with you what picture I used when I was covering the story.
Yeah, please do.
It's up there. I share it. I'm sharing my screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's. Hold on, I gotta undo mine.
I guess because there's a red background, you can't really tell that it's like red. But like the idea was basically like I just wanted to let people know I'm covering it without it being something. I was also covering George Soros potentially getting hit with RICO. But that way people know what the topic is as opposed to some guy crying. I don't think that anyone's going to know, what necessarily. Certainly 6 months from now, they're never going to know what it's referencing.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right. Yeah. No. I'm torn. I'm really torn. I might put one up and then change it. I don't know. Because we'll also be talking immigration stuff too. So people might get confused on that. I hate the subject. Honestly, I don't even like talking about it, but I think it's I think the reaction that people are giving with respect to I think it's disgusting how they're basically trying to use this as an indicia. They reversed the victim paradigm. There are many people I feel
you see to say prayer doesn't work, like they're like complete assholes. Like
that's been infuriating.
Yeah, that's been. Well,
the problem is that one person killed others, and they're treating the killer like he's a victim, and that killer as a victim. I don't want to even get the whole gender argument in there, and that bothers me. It's like, how can children ever be perpetrators? They're children,
and
for God's sake.
And they're also ignoring the fact that it's miraculous that only 2 kids died. Right? I mean, people. There could have been 50 kids dead. You don't know. No one knows. That, and they're ignoring that and just basically saying, well, so there's 2 people died. Prayer doesn't work. That's the stupidest thing. It's just so aggravating. I get very, very. Everyone knows I'm not Christian, but to try and use this as some sort of indicia as an attack on Catholicism, Christianity is the most jackassery, backward, stupid thinking imaginable. And when I saw that, I was just like, you guys are disgusting. It just taking this tragedy to try and bash on religion is just how low can a person sink? It's awful. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, dude. It's a horrible scenario, and then you have people like Jake Shields who are literally somehow tying it back and saying, oh, we have Christian children dying and Jews are taking credit. I'm just like, wow. Oh my God. You know, I mean, or other people were saying, "Oh, look at the shooter. You know what his last name is."
Mhm.
Anyway, I'm just, it is so disgusting. These are children who were killed by
Yeah.
somebody evil.
Yeah.
Take everything else out of it.
Yep.
It is a nightmare. But anyway, but there will be other fun stories that we will talk about too. That'll hopefully be at least amusing or different, and not just that. There's a lot of other different things going on, like, you know, the big story of Trump canceling Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection. Gotta watch out for that. But my personal favorite is the Florida man busting the burglary suspect while wearing Batman pajamas. It gave him the confidence he needed. So that that would be my headline story. I love
True
that
heroes.
story, by the way.
The heroes we need.
Yes.
So.
We don't deserve heroes like that, but we need them. Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. And hope there's a show next week. You know what'll help the show go next week? Please hit the like button. Please help people discover the show. And you know what? How about subscribing while you're here? Because the more subscribers there are, the more the lawyers say, hey, this is a pretty big show. I want to come on. I want to do it. So all of you can help this.
We'll get real lawyers
going
in here
and get strong.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. And we'll see you the next episode.
Happy Labor Day.